Spoiler alert. This video has something to do with this computer and that Dreamcast. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Justin, and this is an all-tech dream. And today we are doing a quite interesting video. Before me are two completely different devices with substantially different amounts of power and age. One is an HP, a Pavilion P6516F. And on the other side is, of course, a Sega Dreamcast. I believe it's HKT 3020 is what this model is. Yep, HK 3020 WK number 1. But what does that have to do with this computer? Well, for pretty good reason. Notice anything particular? Well, other than the yellowing, what we were dealing with is, of course, the dial-up connection on a Sega Dreamcast. This is a pretty bog standard thing with Sega Dreamcast, is that they all have, oh boy, this little dial-up module. I believe it goes up to 56K. No, I believe it's only 33K. And then they later released a 56K model that you have to upgrade to. So yeah, broadband connectivity is kind of a long shoot, and most games don't even support it on the Sega Dreamcast. So yeah, it's unbelievably, dial-up is the way to go when it comes to this stuff. So goes right back on there. So why is that even relevant for today's video? Well, this computer has for the longest time been running as my main server computer. However, recently I stopped using it as my main server computer, probably because I'm going to completely kill off the whole idea of using a server. It was hosting a lot of my files for my PlayStation. That's on a second hard drive, so I could just always use file media for that. But otherwise, I don't really have a need to use this. Like, it used to be my IRC bouncer, but now that's also on the only computer in this house that is used as an IRC bouncer for an IRC client. So this thing really is just sitting here now, and I'm imagining, why not just use it for any purpose other than being a server? So that's what's going to happen. Today, this is going to become a server. Wait, what? Let's slow down here and quickly mention this video entirely was inspired by a video recently done by Modern Vintage Gamer, in which he showed off his Dreamcast being connected to the internet thanks to the Dream Pi, which is basically a Raspberry Pi configured completely to operate as basically a modulator to convert a dial-up connection to a broadband connection and get their systems back online. And so today's video is going to be on getting this machine to run a piece of software that will do basically what the Dream Pi does, but with this thing. We're actually going to pull this off thanks to a neat little thing that's been around for years, known as the PC-DC server. It pretty much does exactly what the Dream Pi does, except it can do it on, like, all the way back to Windows 98. It's just that simple. But we'll have to do a few changes to the HP machine before we can even start doing that. Quickly move the machine over here, that way you can get a vague listing of the specifications. Yeah, so those are the specs that we're looking at. We're getting an AMD Athlon 2630 that is clocked at 2.8 gigahertz and does whopping 4 cores. Top-notch stuff. 6 gigabytes of RAM, which isn't much. I could honestly go lower for this build, and I may have to if I'm planning on doing what I'm going to be doing. It doesn't have much storage right now. The graphics card that's currently in it is going to be removed in favor of power consumption. And overall, I want this to be kind of a low-end build that just does what I'm wanting it to do. And what things are that? Well, mostly as a PC DC server, so it's going to perform the task of adapting a dial-up connection into a broadband connection that will work with the Dreamcast servers. I want to still work as a sort of NAS, that way that still works with the PlayStation 2 over there for various game things. I have a whole share of games for that stuff. And thirdly, I kind of want to add another hard drive to it and make it into a semi-functional video system, because we're going to be including this little baby. Yes, this is an ATI TV Wonder HD 750. As you can see, it's a PCIe Gen 1 card. Pretty much kind of weak, but for what I'm intending to do with it, this machine should be fine. So, let's get this baby going. Let's rotate it so that we can quickly get a look at the back side of this machine. Yeah, not much to say. Looking at a couple USB ports, digital audio, built-in video, 4 USB ports, that's just USB 2 unfortunately. Firewire, interestingly enough, could probably hook up a Mac with that. Ideas. Ethernet, obviously 101,000, and digital audio HD. And the video card is actually an AMD Radeon HD 6670. I wonder if I still have the box for that. Yep. Oh, good old Gigabyte. Yeah. That's actually the whole thing. Is this? It's going back into the box. Oh well. So first we need to hit this bracket here. This is the entire PCI solution for holding this machine's cards in. Reach down here to grab the GPU. Like that, we were good to go. Damn it. Might be looking at that and wondering what exactly we're looking at. Well, looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 PCIe. PCI Express. In order to do this, the PC DC server specifically, yeah, that's PCI. Not PCIe. PCI. Yeah. So, here we have a compact of... No, that's not even a compact. That's an E-Machines. Oh, man. Ooh, never obsolete, huh? Well, at least for this endeavor you aren't. Oh, boy. This actually has an OEM motherboard. This one, instead, is using a Gigabyte GAM68M. And, boy, it's a lot more reasonably spec'd out than mine. That is disappointing, to say the least. In fact, I think the card that we're trying to use in this machine came from this machine to begin with. What even is this thing? A Gare dial-up? Well, it is a card, and it is what has to be used in this machine. Yeah, if you want to look at a terrible situation for this one, we're looking at a GeForce 7025. Ooh, that is disappointing. Unfortunately, I may actually have to use the GPU. Oh, that's annoying. Well, whatever. I don't remember what processor this thing actually uses. I just know it's a Athlon as well. Only a dual-core Athlon, though, so it's not going to be the fastest thing in the world, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. It just needs to work. And in the future, I'm sure I can find a processor that will work with this. I would probably try with a PCIe to PCI bridge, but I've not heard very good things about those things. That said, it should actually work with a PCIe 1X slot, so I could just reroute it. It's whatever. I'm just going to work with what I have here. It occurred to me that since we're working with this type of hardware, we should probably change the angle. So that's fair enough. Look at that half assembled box. Lovely little gold plated. This thing's kind of pitiful, but it'll do the job. Are you kidding me right now? For fuck's sake. Get in there. Ah. God, these things are stiff. Again, I really don't know if I want to put a screw in, because it seems like it's just in there in the first place. To mention, I wouldn't be using cable with this. It'd just be one cable to probably stay in there for the rest of its eternity existing. Oh well. Screws in there. Makes sure it's absolutely secure. Like how it's just the one thing that stands out among the rest of this void of blue and black. One thing I'm wondering about is with all these hard drives and CD drives, that's actually what's making it so heavy, is that it just has a bunch of CD and hard drives in it. Not necessarily things you need, but options. In case you weren't aware, removing hard drives sucks. But I'm removing one of them and replacing it with the SSD because of reasons. If I'm not using a server anymore, I don't really have a reason to be using this SSD for that purpose. And yes, it has a nice little caddy, because I am a reasonable person. I don't feel you should have your hardware just lying around. Now I get to install it back into this little caddy that's made for this particular computer. Oh boy. There's one thing I hate about trying to do videos like this. It's doing mundane crap like this. Figuring out how you install a drive into a caddy. Go! It's stuck. I am totally not. It has to go all the way in. And it refuses. At some point, it just refuses to go in. Use your karate chop action. Oh, Jesus. Well, something tells me this computer's just gotten a permanent upgrade in the form of an SSD. If there was that much trouble getting out, how the hell am I going to get it back out? Also, yes, you'll notice many of my videos have been done on a bed. And that's because electrostatic discharge is not something I worry about that often. Especially not when I'm sweating balls like I am. Okay. Now it has an SSD. And now I get to install the correct cable into it. Ugh. And just to be safe, I'm not going to use that one. I will instead just move this kind of bizarro, opaque one. Okay. Well, fortunately, this thing's using an IDE connection with the 2 disk drives, so I guess I have options with that as well. I'm not going to worry about it, though, because IDE is terrible. Yeah. I think this is going to have to do it for this machine. Oh, yeah. I should probably plug in the SATA, because that's safe. good as possible. Yeah. And this room has already turned into a mess because I have 2 computers and all this other stuff. GG. Okay. This is now the darkest room in my house, but for good reason. We are now basically looking at a TV screen as I'm now about to install Windows XP. Powering on. Oh, geez, that's loud. Okay. It's only loud for the initial boot up phase. Let's see if I can get to the BIOS. Shouldn't be able to detect any other IDE drives, because there's no other IDE drives. So we're looking at an X2 250. And it's locked up. Let's try that again, see if I can get to BIOS. It's getting stuck on something and I don't know what. I disconnect my keyboard. How about that? No, it's just sitting there. Oh, it just went forward. Well, shit. I wanted to get to BIOS, but I guess I'm not doing that. I don't know if this keyboard actually works on this machine. And that could pose a problem. Also, I can't tell how it's coming out on the video. I'm just going to have to hope that it just works. I'll disconnect the hub to be safe. I know this front side panel's worked before. Well, there's my mouse. I can't get caps lock light out of my fucking keyboard. I have to dig out my other keyboard, which is a hunk of junk. This installation uses a sub-wizard to guide you through the installation process. Unintended, this allows you to automate by using an answer file. No. Oh, yes. The product key. You've got to be kidding me. Prepare to enter setup. How long I have to wait? It's probably no wonder that this doesn't work. Seconds. Optimize default, please. What on earth? Where is my SATA controller? I think it's that this SSD does not support anything lower than SATA 3. Which is to mean that it won't run on this rig. Because the M68M is too old to have SATA 3. Fuck. I'll spare you all the mundanities of my installation of various drivers in order to get this thing installed. I had to install Windows XP Embedded, and then that failed to work. I then installed Windows XP. Oh, and this all had to be done on an actual hard drive because, as I explained, the SSD I'm using is SATA 3 only, so I can only do SATA 3 with that thing, and this is a SATA 2 motherboard. But I have just about everything ready to go, so we're going to kick things off with an inaugural video boot. eventually when the BIOS kicks in. Oh, no, the BIOS didn't bother to kick in. It ran too fast. Fair enough. And yes, I am aiming to remedy this ghetto-ass point the camera at a screen nonsense. But for the time being, what we have is what we have. Running in 1280 by 720, they can go to 1920 by 1080, but then you can't see anything, obviously. So here we have ArcSoft Total Media, which is the definitive software I have for the time being on this computer. This is how I am running my ATI TV Wonder 750. And we can see that right now if I go ahead and do this. Well, let it take its time and all. Live TV, we're going to go full screen. It should be set up to composite. Once I hit this button, more noises. Oh, look at that. Isn't that exciting? And of course, we are still on the situation here. I need to get my controller. And unfortunately, we're not getting audio because I didn't plug anything into the back. But that's not really the complete point of today's video, because this is just a demonstration of the capture card solution, which will also be the use case for my Windows 98 machine and anything else that can take it. Now, today's video is about the Sega Dreamcast itself, and getting it to do the things that I'm wanting it to do, which is, of course, we want it to be online.